So, as many of you know, there is going to be a new Spider-Man movie coming out this Wednesday, The Amazing Spider-Man, which is going to be a reboot of the whole Spider-Man series. Originally, I wasn't going to review all these old Spider-Man movies directed by Sam Raimi. Originally, I was not, seeing as how they don't at all lead into the new movie, seeing as how that's a reboot. Well, I decided I was because, well, I basically don't have anything else to do, so I might as well review them. So here I am with my review of the first Spider-Man movie of the original Spider-Man trilogy, Spider-Man, released in 2002. Now, when I first saw Spider-Man as a kid, I absolutely loved the movie. It was action-packed, it was cool, had my favorite web-headed hero on the screen, it was just great. And I think that was mostly because I was a giant Spider-Man fan when I was a kid. You couldn't get me away from anything Spider-Man related. I watched cartoons, read some of the comics, had a bunch of toys. I was just a webhead junkie. Now, does this film, hold up now from what I thought when I was younger? Sort of. And I think why I say sort of is mostly because it is now, if you watch it as, my age, or if you saw it when you were younger and you're now an adult, you'll notice that it's really, really campy. By campy, I mean really, really silly. Well, not really, really silly, just, silly at best. And say you can't really get away with a superhero movie being very silly, or else you just get drawn back to the fucking drawing board and you have to be rebooted. Look at Spider-Man 3. It did a couple silly things, bam, it got rebooted. Which, here, there are a lot of silly things. One is the Green Goblin, or Norman Osborn, portrayed by Willem Dafoe. He is completely silly, and anytime Willem Dafoe is on the screen as Norman Osborn, or even the Green Goblin, he completely chews up the scenery like a Thanksgiving dinner. He's just absolutely... I'm not sure if I should say that's really bad, or that's really delightful, and he's just hilarious, but I'm gonna say he's sort of... meh, as basically, overacting, basically. Yeah, like, he's just completely silly. He makes the movie, but he also sort of makes it really silly, which is sort of good. But, you definitely have to see this movie for his performance. He is just absolutely delightfully silly in this movie. That's the best I could say. And the acting in this movie isn't as good as a lot of people say. Tobey Maguire didn't really play the wise mouth, smart aleck Spider-Man that we all know from the comics, making fun of, villains here to there, making little wisecracks, stuff like that. Which, watching now really kind of upset me. I didn't even know Spider-Man did that before. Like, I did watch the cartoons and stuff, I never really noticed that, but now that's like a big deal. Like, anytime someone watches this movie, they're like, what? Spider-Man doesn't, make jokes? That sucks. Which isn't that big of a deal. He does say some jokes some of the times. Like some, like little things, here and there. But he doesn't really say much. He's just sort of a silent Spider-Man. So he's a mute Spider-Man, basically. Which, isn't a bad thing. I just really wish they had more, him more to say. Especially in the other movies. That would have been funny. But, yeah. And him being, playing Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, he played a good Peter Parker because Peter Parker, he's he's like a little nerd and stuff. He's supposed to be, shy and, not social, basically like antisocial, sort of like that. He did play a good Peter Parker. It's not that very good of a Spider-Man. Kirsten Dunst, she's alright. She isn't the best, but she's, okay. Just hovering over, bad. She's just okay in this movie. She did get progressively, every person in this movie got progressively better as the series went on, especially in 2. But, I think that was because, better writing and stuff, but whatever. But besides, all the bad things in this movie, it still is, a solid movie. It still is really good. There are some good action scenes in it. And some pretty good, I forgot, actually. I was going to say special effects, but then I sort of thought about it. The special effects are really outdated. And you can say, oh, well, came out a while ago. Came out, about 10 years ago. But that was back in 2002. There were still some movies out there that had better special effects. And then, 2002. It's not really, yeah, it's a decade ago, but, they couldn't do a little bit better. Like, the special effects look like a cutscene from, like, a PS2 game. Not even that. A PS1 game. That's how bad they look. They got, with the acting, the special effects got progressively better. They looked amazing when they got to Spider-Man 3. but, still, they were pretty bad in this movie. But I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna say anymore because, it is, they come out 10 years ago, but, still, they look pretty bad. But other than that, the movie, like I said, is still a solid movie. I don't not go see it because, there's a few, minor little gripes in here. That's the same thing I have to say about Spider-Man 3. Don't go see it just because everyone says, oh, it sucks. Just don't. Still go see it. They're still solid movies nonetheless. So I'm going to give this movie I think, I'm going to go an 8.5 out of 10. I think that would be fair. 8.5, yeah, that seems right. So, yeah, stay tuned for my review of Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3, and soon The Amazing Spider-Man. So, I'll catch you later. See ya.